Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my playlist. My name is Patrick Huston. I'm an Olympian for Team GB in the sport of archery. Today I'm going to be talking to you because of Mental Health Awareness Week. Mental Health Awareness Week is about raising the profile of mental health and removing the stigma from it so that people can talk about it, people can share knowledge and learn from each other so that we can work together to get through what, particularly given the current situation in the world with coronavirus, is a rather challenging time. So I would like to share with you today a little bit of my story, and then through videos that I'm going to be posting each week, each day through this week, I would like to share with you some of the things that I've learned both through my own mental health issues and struggles through my career as an Olympic athlete, and also my story, what I've gone through, what I've learned, and basically I want us to be able to work together so that we can share the message, share some love, share some spontaneity, some passion, and basically do what we can to get the world moving in the right direction. I'm a big believer in the concepts from With Winning in Mind by Lanny Basham, that the more you talk about, think about, and write about something, the more likely it is to happen. So we're here to talk about mental health issues so that we can talk about the positive things that we can do to improve them. I'm going to do my best to share with you my messages, to share with you my ideas, the things that I've learned, the things that have really helped me through my career and through my life to get to where I am, and to allow me to have the choices to control my own mental health. So my name is Patrick Huston, Patrick Huston OLY. I have been diagnosed with bipolar depression and also attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I'd like to do what I can to help, both with my story, so maybe you can relate to it, maybe you can understand a little bit more than the competitor that you see decorated around my room. I'm a high performing archer. I'm a high performing athlete. I like to do well in what I do, but just as with everybody else, I am just as vulnerable to the issues of mental health as other people. Thankfully, I'm also very driven, very focused, and very well, I think driven is probably the right word. And whenever I've been in a bad situation, whenever I've been in a bad place, I have, after suffering with it for times, made, and this is a very important message, I've made a choice that I want to change, I want to get better, I want to improve. I'd like to start out with the Olympic Games. Now, everybody knows the Olympic Games. It's one of the biggest things in the world of sport, and it's the pinnacle of sport. But if you were to ask me if I was to give you one word to describe my experience at the Olympic Games, and if I was being honest about it, and I'd rather people know me for who I really am, and I'd rather be upfront and open with you about these things, I would describe the Olympics as lonely. Loneliness was probably the number one thing that I experienced at the Rio Olympics, or definitely the number one memories, the overarching theme. And that's because I went as an individual athlete. I didn't go as part of a big team. There was just myself and Naomi going to the Olympics, along with our coach Richard Priestman and our team manager Ollie Logan. Fantastic guys. We had a good time together. But there was an awful lot of time when I spent on my own. I had a flat on my own. I shared with the GB fencing team, great guys. But there was loads of time where either they were out training or they weren't in the block, and so I spent an awful lot of time alone. And that happened both at the Olympics, in the Olympic Village, going for food, travel, visiting different events. It's no bad reflection on the British Olympic Association. It's no bad reflection on the International Olympic Committee. It's just that that's how I experienced it, as a very lonely experience. However, on the plus side, I said at the time I don't want to go back to the Olympics without on my own. I'm going to Tokyo. I will be going to Tokyo once we do selection and all that, with a full men and a full women's team. So that's a great heads up from that. The Olympics is full of pressure, it's full of intensity, it's full of emotion, and I put an awful lot into it. I put a huge amount of effort in. That's why I qualified at the European Champs in 2016 at in Nottingham with a huge British crowd. So much intensity, so much focus, so much drive. But when that all builds up to the Olympic Games and you don't get the result that you wanted, I ended up losing out to the gold medalist Kuban Chan. I didn't necessarily deal with it the best. This energy and this intensity got stuck in my head, and particularly as well, something I found is the body is the mind, and there's a very distinct relationship between the two. And the intensity and pressure I put into my shot, holding myself still and making everything stay in that place, to allow me to perform. And then the higher the level of tournament, the more intense I would get. All that energy became wound up inside my body, and without a functional way to let it out, it ends up going places you don't want. and particularly through the 2017 season, I ended up I had a great season. I came 14th. I ended up 14th ranked in the world. I got ninth place at the World Championships. Um, yeah, I shot really well that season, but also I suffered with depression a huge amount of that year. I spent large amounts of the time not able to get out of bed. I would get up at 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon because I just couldn't motivate myself to do that. I was living at the Olympic Training Centre, Lilleshall Sports Centre, and I just couldn't get myself out of bed, and that's because I would wake up in this exoskeleton of bad posture from the intensity of my shot, bit of kyphosis, bit of forward head posture, and then shooting. This pressure got locked on inside me. I'd wake up and I'd be locked inside. I'd have to stretch and break myself free of it to basically allow me to express any form of energy, to allow me to be anybody. And I struggled hugely that year. Take the about July time, we had the national series down in Surrey. Performed fantastically well, and I had just moved house. I think I got a gold medal individually and a bronze medal individually on the 2 days, and I'd moved house the week before and hardly left my room the entire week. I actually, directly after the national series in Surrey, I flew back home to Northern Ireland and spent a week with my parents because they were that worried about me that I wasn't able to do things, and that's not a nice place to be. But it shows you that you don't have to be the prescription. A diagnosis, bipolar depression, is not a description. To explain bipolar a little bit, it means you have the two sides, bipolar. You have, it's also used to be known as manic depression. You have the mania side and the depressive side. And I've had the mania side. I've had a couple of periods where I've had particular. I think it's also a fantastic asset. It's probably one of the things that really helps me to perform at the intensity that I want in major tournaments. But if that energy is not dissipated well, then it can go bad places. After the 2016 Olympics, I had an end of season break after the World Fields and the National Series finals. You can see the video on my YouTube channel. I beat Michael Judd in the final. Fantastic medal match, fantastic gold medal match. But after that point, I went and visited some friends. I let my hair down a little bit. I went clubbing, did a little bit of dancing, released some energy, and that sent my brain haywire. I had a fantastic set of ideas. I did an awful lot of thinking. I had a great time. Generally, it was enjoyable, but it was not sustainable. I was spending more than I should. I wasn't really sleeping. I was drinking more than I should. I was this, that, and everywhere. I was higgledy-piggledy. I was losing things. I was losing track of time, spending more money than I should. These were all elements of the manic side of bipolar. And at that point, when I went home for Christmas that December, my parents, after a few days home, they took me to a psychiatrist, and he diagnosed it as bipolar disorder, or bipolar depression, however you want to call it. And at the time, he also suggested that I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, as most people know. That you can't really argue with. I definitely have elements of that. I don't know how much of it's learnt. There's one seriously interesting effect, and something I found very powerful to counteract it, is the way that I breathed. I was allergic to cats, and I still am, for 18 years when I lived at home. And the entire time I lived at home, my nose was slightly bunged up, my sinuses were sort of always having issues of this, that, and the other variety. And I was a mouth breather. And this is a really big thing, because if you breathe through your mouth, there's a lot of science to back this up. I recommend The Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McKeown. Fantastic YouTube channel, Facebook page, loads of really good information. Great book as well. But if you breathe through your mouth, particularly while you sleep, breathing through your mouth while you sleep can cause all of the effect of ADHD. Effectively, your brain isn't getting the right amount of oxygen into it while you sleep. So if you want to see what I do nowadays to cause that, and I'm not joking here, this is complete and utter honesty, this is micropore tape. I tape my mouth shut before I go to sleep, just to cause that, so that I'm not nose breathing throughout the night. The change from breathing through my mouth all the time to breathing through my nose all the time, night and day. Absolutely enormous difference, because it takes you, imagine, so first off, your nose is connected to your diaphragm, and you breathe larger amounts of air with your diaphragm. You breathe through your mouth, you're breathing a much lower quality of air, it's not warmed up, it's not humidified. You breathe into the upper chest, so you breathe faster. If you're breathing much faster, imagine you're running away from a mammoth, or you see a mammoth and you need to run away. You start breathing fast because your fight or flight response is activated to make you run away, to make you flee. And if you breathe like that, through your mouth heavily, upper chest, fast breathing all the time, you end up living in that fight or flight response. So you end up with this elevated level of stress just programmed into your body, and that means that you're never quite in the zone because, well, you're stressed about things. You're obviously threatened by something, but actually if it's just that that's how you've learned to breathe, then you're going to end up with all these negative effects of mouth breathing, such as ADHD, which really isn't a really very good thing at all. And this is what I mean by what I've learned. I've learned some very useful things over the past few years, and over the next week I'd love to share them with you. I'd like to say, from what I've learned, I'm pretty much, I wouldn't say that I'm free of all issues, but what I have learned is how to put myself back on course. When I recognize that I'm in the wrong place, when I recognize that I'm low, when I recognize that I'm feeling worse than I would like, I can turn the tails on that. Flip the tails on that? Flip the coins on. You know what I mean. I can flip that round, and I can make myself get back to where I want to be by making a choice. And that's my message from today. If you want to get better, if you're in a lower state, if you are feeling depressed, if you're feeling low, and if you consider that at the moment the nation, literally the world, is depressed. We are suppressed by coronavirus, and we are becoming depressed because we are stationary, we are stagnant, we are sat down all the time, we're not doing what we want to do, we're not seeing who we want to see, and this makes you depressed. And fair enough. I felt terrible about a month and a half ago. I felt absolutely terrible because I'd not been doing much. I'd not really been doing what I want to do. I'd not been out shooting. I'd not been exercising. And all of this ended up being a big drag on myself. But I made a choice, as I've done a few times in my life, where I've really got things into gear, and I made a choice that I want to get better. I want to feel better about myself. And I knew that there are certain things that you can do, certain things that I can do, and certain ways I can track them so that I keep myself doing them. For example, this, and I will be going through this with you. This is my daily scores board, where I tick off the various things that I want to be doing so that I'm doing all of the right things, so that I'm getting myself moving, I'm getting myself reading nice things, I'm listening to the right kind of ideas, I'm listening to positive motivation. Have a look at Robin Sharma, fantastic YouTube channel. He's a great speaker, fantastic books as well. Elliot Hulse, Jordan Peterson, there's fantastic amounts of content out there. As we currently stand in this world, you can get better, you can learn, you can improve your own mental well-being by simply making a choice that you want to get better. So my message today is make a choice that you want to improve. If you want to get yourself out of depression, if you want to make yourself feel better, if you want to get out of the lockdown rut, make a choice that you want to improve. And the second part of that making a choice, look for micro wins. Here's a really simple one. Really, really simple. It's probably one of the easiest for you to implement straight away. Make your bed. If that is all you do, you are down in the dumps. If you have been lying around in your dressing gown, eating potato chips, drinking beer, watching crap on TV and doing nothing because you feel awful, fair enough, no problem. Something very important in this situation is accept it for what it is. But if you want to get better, start by making a choice. Make a choice. I want to get better. What can I do to get better? And start putting effort into it. But let's start easy. Let's start really easy. Make your bed. So today, go upstairs and make your bed whenever you see this video. And then when you get up tomorrow, if there's one thing you do, whether you do it at 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the morning, whenever you feel like getting up, whenever you should get up early. Circadian rhythms, light in the morning, great for you, really good idea. But whenever you get up, just make your bed. That's what I'd like to leave with you today. Make a choice that you want to get better, and make your bed. Please check out my YouTube channel. There's loads of other stuff on there. There's videos of me shooting. There's videos of me talking about different exercise routines, different bits of the technicalities of archery. And of course, please check back tomorrow at this time, just after 5 o'clock. And I'll be posting another video for you to have a look at. And I'll be talking a little bit more about my own personal journey and the things that I've learned. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe and stay happy.